He is underwater, right? He's doing a little bit of the breaststroke, maybe doing a little bit of the butterfly. He's at minus 2 points. And it's not just in one poll, it's multiple. CNN, Fox, Ipsos, NBC, and Quinnipiac University, 999, the American folks are saying, oy vey, ay caramba. Every single other president at this point in a term, either first or second, was above water. So Donald Trump likes to make history, but this is a type of history Donald Trump does not like to make.
Yikes. As his policies continue to devastate the American economy, as his lawlessness causes him to continue to lose major courtroom battles, the polling and data are in. Donald Trump is making history in the worst possible way. He is a historic disaster. But before we unpack all that, if you end up liking this video and you want to support the channel, please be sure to hit the like, subscribe, and alert bells before you go. All right, friends, we continue to follow Donald Trump's approval, or as it has been recently, lack thereof, because it seems to be the only thing that Trump may potentially care about besides himself. As a narcissist, right, the only thing that he might care about besides himself is how people perceive him. We're going to watch this clip of CNN data analyst Harry Enton breaking it down in very entertaining fashion. But again, Donald Trump is making history in the worst possible way.
Marks 2 months in office for President Trump, and new polls are revealing just how voters are feeling about the start of his second term. CNN's chief data analyst, Harry Enton, is here to run the numbers for us. All right, how is Trump doing compared to where he was just after he was sworn in January? Very different numbers, I'm assuming.
Yeah, they're very different. They're very different. I mean, look, here's the bottom line. Wow. Trump's net job approval rating. Look, in January 2025, he was on the positive side of the ledger. He was at plus 7 points. Look now, he has come back down. He is underwater, right? He's doing a little bit of the breaststroke, maybe doing a little bit of the butterfly. He's at minus 2 points. And it's not just in one poll, it's multiple. CNN, Fox, Ipsos, NBC, and Quinnipiac University, 999, the American folks are saying, oy vey, ay caramba.
Okay, well, that was a lot of different languages. Thank you, Yiddish and all. How unusual is it for a president at this point to have a net negative? Let's go back in the annals of history.
I love going to the history books. I did quite well on my SAT 2 in U.S. history. Presidents with negative net approval ratings at this point of term since 1937, going back to the second term of Franklin Delano Roosevelt. Well, there are two men on the screen, and they're the same two men, Trump in 2017 and Trump in 2025. He only matches himself. I guess the good news is he's doing a little bit better than he was 8 years ago at this point. But when you're only matching yourself and you're the only dude who's underwater at this point, not particularly good. Every single other president at this point in a term, either first or second, was above water. So Donald Trump likes to make history, but this is a type of history Donald Trump does not like to make.
How is he doing when it comes?
So again, we'll go back to the clip, but let's really unpack this, okay? Because again, as somebody who really appreciated and respected President Biden's domestic agenda, domestically, I think he's been the best president since LBJ, if not FDR. I also acknowledge the fact that President Biden was not particularly popular, not for much of his term, and he certainly left office very unpopular, with a lot of not just independents and Republicans being very disappointed, but also Democrats as well. And yet, despite that, Donald Trump is still more historically unpopular than even President Biden. President Biden, President Obama, President Bush, President Clinton, going all the way back to President Franklin Delano Roosevelt. Donald Trump is making history as a disastrously unpopular president. And it's so fascinating to me, especially because he talks about a mandate and how he won the popular vote and how the American people are behind him. It's just bullshit. The American people voted for him in a plurality. He won the popular vote when you consider the headwinds that were against incumbents at the global level, not just Vice President Harris and President Biden here in the States, but also the British Conservatives, the Conservative Party in the UK, which had governed for, I think, 15 years. Like they had a killer streak. They were wiped out in elections. It was a global anti-incumbency trend. And despite that, Trump could only squeak a plurality popular vote of 1.5%. That's not a landslide. It's not a mandate. When he had every political advantage behind him, this is the best he could do. And the goodwill that the American people, in my opinion, were irrationally offering Trump, given his personality and his previous term in office, has already expired. That is so important. Please remember that the next time that independents or enlightened centrists or MAGA Republicans try to gaslight you into believing that Trump has a mandate or that Trump is popular. No, he has a very disproportionately influential cult of personality, but more Americans than not dislike Donald Trump, not just personally, but think he's a bad president. Now, could that change? I suppose it's possible. But as of right now, Donald Trump is objectively, historically unpopular. We'll continue.
Comes to the issues, because that seems to be the big thing for 2025, which is a little different than 2017.
Yeah. So look, here are the issues. Sometimes I like lists. You know, I like lists. I like lists for writing out my groceries. Basically, it's a 2-line list. It's like cream soda and popcorn. But on this particular one, Trump's net approval rating on major issues, positive. Immigration. How about negative? The economy, federal budget, foreign policy, healthcare, tariffs. Underwater on all of these issues, and that is what is dragging Donald Trump down. People came in with good expectations for Trump, better than for the first term. Yes, he's doing slightly better than he was during the first term at this point, but compared to everybody else, he's doing far worse. And the reason he's doing far worse is Donald Trump is not meeting the voters' expectations on the issues that matter to them, especially, of course, there you go.
This is the reason why a lot of people say they voted for him and why he's in office right now. So that's a big deal.
The whole kit and caboodle, and he is throwing them in the voters' minds.
And so you don't have to go shopping for cream.
So, again, please note, it's worth repeating. The evidence has shown that the economy performs better when Democrats are in power. That's a matter of fact. The macroeconomic metrics perform better when Democrats are in the White House. But it is also a fact that the perception has advantaged Republicans for decades, okay? They have enjoyed outsized, undeserved advantage in polling on the economy. And it's great to have facts on your side. And it's true, Ben Shapiro says facts don't care about your feelings, but people vote on their feelings. You can have all the facts in the world on your side, but if you're not able to successfully persuade people using those facts, you might as well have nothing. Facts don't speak for themselves. And so Donald Trump, as this mimetic TV billionaire, used to have another outsized advantage on the economy because it wasn't just that he was the Republican candidate and got to benefit from that. He was also, again, seen as this billionaire business genius. And so it was further heightened, that advantage. And he squandered it. He squandered it. That says something. And it's something that Democrats should relentlessly pounce. And again, I've said this before and I'll say it again, not just on the price of eggs. Not just on the price of eggs, not that specific food stuff. Groceries in general, energy prices, gas prices, the stock market, all of it, the economy, period. Okay, this is something that the Democrats should be pouncing on. I hope they do a better job at it. Since 538, the aggregator site is no longer in existence. ABC got rid of it. A former 538 founder, Nate Silver, probably the most individually famous data analyst and polling analyst in the world, he has the Silver Bulletin, so I'm turning to him, even though I think he's kind of a douchebag in terms of his political opinions. Again, grades Trump on a curve, but whatever. He's also not very optimistic about Trump. Trump has a -5 net approval rating in the latest Atlas Intel poll. 47% of Americans approve of the job he's done, and 52% disapprove. The previous Atlas poll had Trump's approval almost dead even, 50.3% approval versus 49.7% disapproval. It's best not to make a big deal about individual polls, but post-2024, Atlas ranks first in the Silver Bulletin pollster ranking, so their results are weighed fairly heavily in our average. The new release brought Trump's net approval down by 0.3 points. So, how's it looking? According to Nate Silver in the Silver Bulletin, Donald Trump's net approval rating is more than 2. Disapproval rating is more than 2. It is negative 2.2, I believe. Not just based on the Atlas Intel poll, but just recent polls in general. It's not good. He is vulnerable. The shortest presidential honeymoon in American history. And again, that's not to say that it can't change. Political gravity, as I've said before, Donald Trump is not above political gravity, right? He can't fly, to use like comic book, terms. He's not Superman. He can't fly. He can't totally defy gravity, but he can bend it. So he can leap further and descend slower in ways that other politicians simply can't. It's maddening. It's frustrating. It makes him, despite his stupidity, despite his narcissism, incredibly dangerous. But there is serious vulnerability here that Democrats need to get their shit together on and ruthlessly explore and not just hope that it continues. They need to work aggressively to continue that momentum because with Trump, anything is possible. In the meantime, let me know what you think in the comments.